Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am not Justice. I am Terra Master. And as you can see, Justice is unfortunately not with us today, could not make it today. However, we do have Curseof the Return, and our moderator Drake is also here. And we are here to talk about the midterm box. Welcome to episode 3 of the State of Speed podcast. We don't do these this often all the time, but this is necessary because we have spoilers for the new box. But before I say any more, I'm going to send it over to said moderator Drake to tell us what we're going to do.
Yeah, once again, welcome back to the podcast. Yeah, we definitely don't do these this often in theory, but we just keep getting news from Konami, which is great. News about speed duels is great for everyone, especially us. And we got the full set spoiled, and it's interesting. For only 100 cards, it has stuff.
Yeah.
That should impact the meta. New decks, potentially tiered new decks. But let's just start off on a quick positive note. Just like a real quick answer from you guys. What is your favorite thing about this set? It can be a card, an archetype, whatever.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. A hero lives. Just because, like, that was going through it. That was for those of you who watched the reaction video. That was the second card that I saw, and it was just an immediate like. It doesn't matter if Blazeman is the only good hero anymore, because with this card, there's a chance for Blazeman by itself to be good, right? And we'll talk about how that actually might be the case in testing too. So. That was great to see, and also with a card like that, the more elemental heroes that get printed in the future, we'll see how many that actually is, because how many GX products we have left, but the better that card is going to get, the more options you have with it.
I guess for me, I'm going to go down a very similar route here. I'm going to stick to the hero side of things here. But for me, it was more so Nova Master, because a hero lives is great with Blazeman, and Blazeman is great, but without Nova Master, Blazeman does nothing in this current format, right? Like, absolutely nothing. Yeah, so seeing Nova Master, it was huge.
Yeah. I mean, you had to think, with Blazeman, there's no other fusion that specifically goes with Blazeman. Except
did you necessarily expect them to give us something that goes with Blazeman, though?
No, not really. They were like, just play Burstinatrix and Avion. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Actually, Blazeman's almost unplayable without Nova Master or any Omni hero. Yeah. Because what do you do? Send Avion to grave for his effect? Cool. Now he's Avion. Do you have
Great job.
Exactly.
Right.
And then you make a Flame Wingman, which is not impactful enough into speed duels.
Yeah.
Like really at any point in speed duel history.
He doesn't even become Avion. He becomes Wind. And
oh, you're right.
1,000 attack and 1,000 defense. And I don't even.
But he really does need an Omni hero or Miracle Fusion. We got one of those.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
He does.
I got two. The one is for the Discord. A Legendary Ocean.
True.
So many people wanted that card. You got it. All right. So make it worth. And then mine is we've known for a while, but I really like Drillroid. I think that card is the power level of a card we want into speed duels, where it will see play, it will see main deck play, sideboard play across multiple decks, but it's not everywhere like Breaker, DD Warrior Lady, Book of Moon. So it's like one of those. Well, I'm just playing this. No, I don't think Drillroid is ever going to be on the list necessarily. But
no, I think Drillroid is huge though. Like, I'm so pleased to see this card. Yeah,
it's a healthy, impactful card.
Yeah, no,
so that was my pick.
It's a balanced card too. Like, it doesn't do too much, but it does do enough where you play it. So that's kind of the design you want, and that's the level of power creep you want, right? Where you slowly give us cards that are playable but not immediately broken, and that's how you kind of keep building on what you had previously.
Yeah. All right, so we've only had a few days of testing. Some of us have only played a few matches. Some of us have tried to jam in as many matches as possible in these like 3 days or so.
Yeah.
What have you seen, new or old, that has been improved from this set? We'll start with cursive.
Well, I mean, as apparent from the fact that I was not present last time, I've been extremely busy. So I'm gonna be honest. I've play tested an hour and a half in total. That has been the extent of my playtesting since this has come out. I think Blazeman in general actually has like a home in a few spots here. Roids are looking pretty solid, and I wish Water Dragon looked better.
Yeah.
Those are my opinions from my testing.
Yeah. I've been able to play a little bit more, but it's kind of what you said, right? Like Nova Master Blazeman looks like there's something there. Looks like there's something there with Roids, and unfortunately, it looks like I was wrong, and Water Dragon is nothing. So
Yeah, well, we'll definitely talk about that more, I'm sure, as
we
we
will.
go through our little game show.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, I feel like Water Dragon's skills are what's holding it back really. Cluster is a pretty obscene card in Speed Duel. You have to out it with like a kaiju as your clean out to that card. Otherwise it just floats into two Water Dragons. Pretty sweet card, but yeah, it doesn't really have a skill going for it, so you just have to draw a specific combination of cards. A little rough.
It is.
Um, Yeah, so for me, yeah, the Blazeman engine, or I don't know, which is like, a hero lives, Blazeman, polymerization as a target, and then probably volcanic shell as your fire. It's cool. It has potential. I will say that Blazeman itself is not, or sorry, Nova Master itself is not super impactful hitting the board. 26 is a okay stat. Its effect is okay, but it has no protection from back row, has no protection from monsters. So your deck needs some type of layer. But what's cool is that engine is small enough that you could, say, play volcanic heroes or something even wilder. I don't know, Roid heroes. Just really anything. So testing that package in different decks is going to be cool. Kind of like when we got GX, we were testing volcanic package, like the 7 cards or so in different decks and seeing like where will this fit. But yeah, that deck, that little package does seem cool. The level 7 deck, the Paradox Brothers, Beware the Brothers Paradox, is a little scary of a deck. It has some flaws. It can brick, for instance. Either you draw all tribute monsters or you draw no tribute monsters. Okay, your deck's not doing much. But the deck's really scary when it gets online because the way the card reads is once it's flipped, it just stays flipped forever. So you can run level 7s that aren't Gate Guardian pieces. You can play things like Barrel Dragon, Toon Barrel Dragon, whatever level 7 you think is the best, and pretty much just summon it for free because you get that additional normal summon of a level 7. So tribute Black Terra. That Black Terra goes back to your hand. You have a level 7 that you essentially just normal summoned with no cost.
Yeah.
A little scary because that could be a nice beatdown deck, or it could be a control-y, stall-y deck. And I think Roids definitely have some potential. That field spell skill is sweet, honestly. That's what I've seen so far. For old decks getting better, I personally haven't tested much old decks.
Nope.
But I don't feel like too much out of this set goes into old decks outside of like Drillroid.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely like a thing. I don't think anything here necessarily gives something old like a huge buff. If it was like already relevant, that was old. You know what I mean? I think there's definitely still decks from the previous format that are good. Like I don't think Crystal Beast is going anywhere. I think Crystal Beast is still extremely viable coming into this format, but no necessary like buffs.
I would like to say that my favorite card, I forgot earlier, out of the set, other than A Hero Lives, is probably Loud Cloud. Because it's in some ways Chaos Sorcerer at home, but in other ways, and shout out Nightblader for pointing this out, because if I don't, he will attack me.
Yes,
Um,
100%.
that it's in other ways is actually better than Chaos Sorcerer because it A destroys a monster and destroys back row in the same turn, and B it can still attack after it uses its effect. So, not to mention it can get bigger than Chaos Sorcerer depending on what you destroy, right? So it can go over 23. But that's and so the search for me has been for the best wind monster we have in speed duels, which the conclusion has been Kazijin with the 7 deck, or Mixeroid with some kind of Roid thing, or Sapphire Pegasus because it's wind. So the 3 decks you can play potentially like Tekken Loud Cloud in as your finisher is Roids, Crystal Beasts, or Sevens. And yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, on that note, should we maybe start going through the cards? Because we're kind of just jumping around right now at all the cards. We might as well start a little organization going on here.
Yeah.
Do you want to play the game?
Let's play the game.
Play the game.
All right. So I'm gonna name a card, and you're gonna say that's Cope. That's not going to affect the meta. That's not going to be a deck. Or Hope. This card's got potential.
Yeah, and then we'll like discuss it as we need to.
For sure.
So, okay, we'll start off with Blaze Man. We already discussed.
Right.
That's Hope, right? We can go on.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Blaze Man looks phenomenal. I mean, like you said, we have not only Nova Master, but also the UFO Roid fighter, where Blaze Man just has a lot of potential. And if we get any other good E-heroes, we might see a little bit more action.
Yeah, we'll see. And like I said, it just depends on how many GX products we have left, how many E-heroes we're actually going to get that aren't reprints. So, Blaze Man has a lot of future potential.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a second good hero makes Blaze Man really good.
Yep.
Also
allows you to actually play a hero skill, which would be cool.
Right, that too. Right hero for the job, potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially cool skill. All right, my next pick for Cope or Hope is Skyscraper 2 Hero City.
I think it's Cope.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there is hope for this card, but not in this format. So it's Cope midterm format. It is hope if we get exactly Stratos or Shadow Mist. Because if you can special summon those from the graveyard with any kind of consistency, then you might have something, because Stratos is obviously insane on summon, right? And Shadow Mist is either good on summon, or if you draw your mask change for whatever reason, then Shadow Mist is also good, when it just goes to the graveyard once it's summoned. So that's the only hope, and even I'll admit that's kind of faint. So
yeah, I think so. I think the issue is that the monster has to be destroyed by battle. So like your opponent does have ways to like get around that with cards we talked about, like Drillroid is a thing now. There's going to be more like effect destruction, I'm sure, as we move into the future of this game. And what will make this card a lot better is if you had a main phase 2 and you could swing your own monster in yourself if it was something like a Blaze Man or a Stratos, and then bring it back yourself in a main phase 2, right? And then pop its effect. But no, I think in speed duels it's a bit Cope.
Yeah.
All right. Next we have A Hero Lives.
Absolute hope.
Definitely hope.
Like it's already decent with Blaze Man, and as we already discussed, it has a potential to just become absolutely broken. So,
dude, who expected this card? Like, who expected A Hero Lives from this set?
Nobody. We literally were making our prediction video, and me and Justice were just like, it's too strong, take it out. But
yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I guess.
Well, I mean, it is potentially too strong with things like Stratos. But yeah, with what we're probably going to get for heroes, it's just a sweet card.
Yeah.
Pay half your life points, special summon a hero. You can even control a face down monster when you do it, which is kind of neat. So if they if they floodgate one of your cards, you're not locked out of Hero Lives.
Right.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, and that's the part I didn't realize, like, when I first started reading it or playing it, is that, oh, it doesn't care about floodgated monsters. That's, like, actually really good. Where, you know, if you go into your Nova Master, say, right, and they floodgate trap hole it, their next turn, you can just follow up by kind of, like, going into another one. You can pop off all over again. So
And you can use Nova Master for itself.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it actually gives the Nova Master turbo deck. It's not an OTK deck, I don't think. It is more of a beatdown deck, right? Where you're consistently summoning Nova Master multiple times per duel.
But the funny thing, and that like we seen in testing, because I know there was a few times that me and you like were like, I want to just pass and do nothing, but if I just pass and do nothing, I'm gonna die on the next turn.
Right.
So like it constantly has that threat where your opponent can't just do nothing and be like, because I want to go second, so I'll just pass, let you go first, and then I'll go second. No, you can't just do that, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It has the potential to kill you, but it doesn't have to play that way, which is kind of cool.
Either way, Hero Lives, sick card.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Next we have Carboneton.
Sick card. Sick card.
This is 100% hope. Not only because of the new monster they gave us, right? He was on Ryu, but I guess we might as well talk about the skill right now. So one of the Bastion skills, Under Pressure, is specifically made to go with Carboneton and is the reason why they nerfed Nightmare Sonic Blast. They wanted us to play this one instead because this is a more balanced version of it that doesn't allow you to stack your deck. We have other skills for that. And it only works if you specifically reveal one of the three dinosaurs, which is Carbo, Oxy, or Hydro. So you have to use a monster with less attack points, but more defense, which is kind of relevant, right? Because 2,800 is significantly more than 24.
Yes.
Especially because of things we have in the format now. 2,800 can matter a lot. Like, you can wall off a few things now. And, like, Nova Master, right? We just talked about that. 2,800 walls that off. 24 does not. So that's kind of relevant. So it forces you to play, like, not the best monsters, right? Especially Oxygeddon, which is, like, very bleh. But at the very least, it's a more balanced version of Nightmare Sonic Blast because it's not, like, absurdly broken at first view. Right. And then not only that, but Carboneton also works with Red Eyes, which curseof had an amazing idea here. So we'll let him talk more about that.
Yeah, so you mentioned to me the whole level 7 skill because I haven't looked into that a lot myself. But in a scenario where you can just normal summon your Carbon and then immediately sack it off for a tribute and then immediately summon another level 7 from your deck is just absolutely absurd. You get 2 free huge monsters on board and you go neutral, right? Like, you don't lose any resources in this exchange, which is absolutely nuts. Plus, it sets up things like Red Eye Spirit that we have. Like, that card might finally actually be usable. And Vigilance.
Yeah. I really like that it sets up Vigilance. Like, if you're going first as the Sevens player, and you just say, reveal a Gate Guardian piece, Carbogeddon, summon Gate Guardian piece, special summon Red Eyes, set Vigilance, that's a pretty crazy first turn.
It is. It's 3 cards. I know it's a lot, but, like, still nuts.
It is, because your opponent can't attack into your Gate Guardian monster, right? They can't, if they try to remove your Red Eyes or your Gate Guardian monster, you Vigilance it. If they try to activate their main combo piece, whether that's a spell or a monster being summoned, whatever, right? You negate that, right? If they try to set up a wall of D, well, you negate that. So, like, it's really good. It lets you just kind of go aggressive from that point forward.
All right. Next one is, I don't know if hope is the right word, but Cope or Hope Doggeran, the Mad Flame Kaiju.
Yeah, this is, like you said, I guess hope.
Yeah.
Kaijus are an interesting throw-in.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's hope for like the weird reason where like yes, it could impact the meta. It could see actual play, right? Because it combos with certain things. But I don't think kaiju is a healthy thing in general to have. So that's why I don't like it. But like as far as like impact on meta, it's I mean for the how we've defined the two words, it's definitely hope.
Yeah. I do think Lava Golem was probably the biggest mistake out of the 3 kaiju type monsters we've got so far.
Yep.
This one's kind of cool because you can't abuse it by itself.
Right.
Just giving them a Doggerin or sacking their creature, that's not. There's no abuse in that. Even if you tributed a good creature, a fusion or something, you still gave them a 3,000 body and it costed you a card. So to me, it's kind of hope because you're not burning them for 1,000. You're not tributing 2 of their monsters to give them 1.
Yeah.
And it has another effect that's like if your opponent controls a kaiju, you can special summon one from your hand. Not super relevant, but I guess if you draw 2, you could special the one from your hand and then like normal summon a DD Warrior Lady.
Right. Yeah, just out there somehow and use yours to.
That's
to
cool, I
summon.
guess.
Yeah.
But I really like this card with creature swap.
Yeah. No, it works with creature swap really well, and I think that's the hope here is that you can tech it into a few decks, sure, at maybe 1 or 2, but the actual hope is to build a creature swap deck with 3 kaiju, right? Where you play a bunch of weak swap monsters, and then whatever your opponent has, it doesn't matter. You make it a kaiju, and then you take it. So
Yeah, I mean, Doggeron has like the difference between Santa Claus, where it's a monster that actually like does something when it's on board because it's a big body,
Right.
and then unlike Lava Golem, it doesn't eat up your normal for the turn, right?
Yeah.
Which is kaijus.
yeah,
So
exactly.
is it more or less fair than Santa Claus? I don't know, but it's definitely more fair than Lava Golem for sure.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay, let's talk about Water Dragon Cluster and the skills.
Okay.
But if you do, you guys want to know what any of the skills do?
Yeah, we can go ahead and like kind of summarize the skills. Why not?
Yeah, so Chemistry in Motion basically says once per turn add a counter to it if you can do the effect. And the first effect is discard a dinosaur, and then add a dinosaur with a different attribute to your hand. 2 is normal summon a wind or water dinosaur. The way that works in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that is an additional normal summon.
Correct.
3, the names of all water dinosaur monsters you control become Hydrogeddon. Sure.
Yeah, that one's weird.
And then add an H2O, a bonding H2O from deck to hand or graveyard. No. And then 4 is remove all counters from this card. Then change the attributes and types of all monsters your opponent control to Fire Pyro.
Yeah.
Which is like the issue with this skill, if you don't mind me jumping in, is effect number 3.
And 2,
The-
honestly, with
Is
our
that the name
testing.
change?
I mean, like at least you can come into a situation where 2 can happen, right? But like the fact that like the skill, if you want to like keep reusing the skill, you have to play H2O in your deck,
That's fair.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
it takes
this
a
skill-
deck that already forces. Sorry, it takes a deck that already forces you to play bad cards, like bonding. The bonding cards are mostly bad, right? Water Dragon Cluster is a brick sometimes when you don't get it correctly. Water Dragon itself, which you need to play for Cluster's dodge effect, is also a brick sometimes. So the deck that forces you to play bricks now has a skill that forces you to play one of the worst bricks, which is H2O. So it's just it's really bad.
What are you thinking, Drake?
I'm just thinking that almost all 4 of these situations, they're kind of specific.
Mm-hmm.
So like discard a dino, get one with a different element. That's easy enough.
Yeah.
Normal summon a wind or water from your hand. Sure. But yeah, the 3 is really where this card stumbles pretty hard because you have to control a water dinosaur and turn its name to Hydrogeddon. And you have to play the bad bonding spell. So yeah, I think the problem with Cluster is it doesn't have a good skill.
Yeah, and like
despite being a sweet card.
Cluster is really, really cool. And like the reason it needs a good skill is because the way you summon it is by having 4 specific cards.
Yeah.
Bonding and then 3 monsters.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's always different what the 3 monsters are, right? We'll forget H2O because H2O is not real.
Yeah, no, whatever.
D2O requires 2 copies of Duoterion. And the issue with that is you can search 1 with your first skill effect, right? But how are you going to get the second one? You literally have to hard draw it. Right? So like I don't know if they thought that one through. Like,
and then the other thing is too, right? Is like, say you have the Oxygeddon, well, you just pitch that,
right? Yeah. So you have to pitch Oxygeddon first of all to search your duo, right? Because their Hydro is also water, so it's either pitch one of the other 2 for Oxy or pitch Oxy for one of the other 2. So they're forcing you to open almost perfectly, and that's not how Yu-Gi-Oh has ever worked.
Right.
Yeah. And then DHO, if you don't mind me still continuing here, is like almost good, but you need Cluster in hand or grave.
Yeah. If that was deck, that would be really good. But it's not. So you have to actually draw perfectly once again. So yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, DHO is the easiest to set up except for you need Cluster in hand too,
exactly.
On top of everything else. It's like,
And it's like you can't play more than 1 Cluster. Otherwise, you're looking at a hand of just unplayable cards, right?
Right. Yeah. This deck would work well if we had milling effects, i.e. Card Trooper, which they conveniently left out of the box. Because you'd be able to mill to set up everything in your graveyard, right? And if you accidentally milled the trap DHO, you could just run like Mask of Darkness or something. But we don't have any good mill effects. We just don't.
I mean, like, you could even play multiple DHO at that point, right? If you mill a DHO, then you search for the Cluster.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, you have not only Cluster as a mill target, but then 3 DHOs that can get you going.
Correct. Yeah. So any kind of milling effect, or good milling effect, would make this deck at least worth testing. That would give you hope, I guess. But right now it's cope.
Yep. All right, next we got a cool one. A Legendary Ocean.
Yes! Now this is hope. And it's not because of Water Dragon, but it's because of the Water Dragon pieces. Drake, we tested this deck a little bit yesterday. This deck is basically Water Dino Beatdown. So you're using Duoterion, which is level 5, 2000 attack, which summons a Duoterion or a Hydrogeddon from your graveyard when it's summoned. Which means it allows you, essentially, with Legendary Ocean, it's level 4, so you normal summon it for free, without tribute, I mean. And then it lets you grab another one from the graveyard, giving you 2 big monsters right away, which are 2200 under Legendary Ocean. So that's why it's like a good beatdown deck. And Hydrogeddon is obviously, you know why, right? It's 1800. You would probably play a skill to boost its attack even more. And then if it destroys a monster at battle, you just continue to get more Hydrogeddons. And again, the deck just has that potential to spam the board and be extremely aggressive. Other than that, I'll let you talk about the other Legendary Ocean deck, Drake.
Yeah, the other Legendary Ocean deck, I'm going to say right away, it's not the most consistent deck in the world, but it's sweet. The Kyryu Shin Leviathan Dragon deck.
Hell yeah.
So Leviathan Dragon is honestly a fantastic finisher in Speed Duel. Just send all of the other cards on the field to the graveyard. Nothing does anything like that.
It doesn't does it destroy? Or does it send to the
Let me
graveyard?
look it up.
Now I need to know for Waking. I think it destroys, right? It does trigger Waking. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm on it. Just keep talking.
Right. But anyway, yeah, no, the deck's sweet because you get to normal summon Karyushin if you have Ocean out.
It does
And
destroy.
then-
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, watch
And
out
then,
for Waking the Dragon, but other than that, you're looking good.
Yeah. If the Karyushin leaves the field, you draw 2 cards. You're happy with that. If it doesn't leave the field, all of your waters are unaffected by traps, which is very good. So if you can manage to get out Karyushin and then Leviathan Dragon, it's not going to get floodgated or anything like that. Very cool. They have to have like specifically Book of Moon. But yeah, it's a great boss monster. The mini boss lets you stay alive and draw cards. Cool deck. The problem is either not seeing a legendary ocean, seeing too many legendary oceans, not seeing Karyushin, not seeing Leviathan Dragon, and there's tools for all of this.
Yes.
Legendary Ocean has a searcher in Metaverse. Summoner's Art searches Karyushin, and Fisherman 2 searches Leviathan Dragon. So they all have like some tutors depending on how many you want to run and how often you want to see these cards. But yeah, that deck totally has potential just for the fact that it has a board wipe.
And I will say the flexibility of the deck with the immunity to traps from the skill is that if you played Legendary Fisherman, the original one, you get immunity to spells and traps, right? With Legendary Fisherman. Also, I think it can't be attacked or something, but they can attack you directly. Is that what that does?
Fisherman 2's unaffected by
No, just the original one. The original one.
Oh, the
Yeah,
original.
they can hit you direct. Yeah.
Okay, so it can't be attacked, and it's immune to spells and traps with the skill active, right? And then Fisherman 2 is immune to monster effects and traps with the skill active. So Curseof talked about Crystal Beasts aren't going anywhere. Well, what if I'm running 3 Fisherman 2? And I have the skill face up? Crystal Beasts are literally paralyzed. Because if they run DD Warrior Lady, they can't banish my Fisherman 2. And their traps don't work on my water monsters if my skill is face up. Right? So there are situations where the Legendary Fisherman immunity plus the skill immunity can make your monsters basically impossible to out. And that's kind of absurd. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something. Obviously Crystal Beast specifically could like Regeki the field spell, and if you don't
Yes.
have like a metaverse set,
Right.
then you will be affected. But yeah, no, totally. Monsters immune to Dex is pretty serious thing.
Yeah.
Spellproof armor.
Sort of. But what's nice about this type of protection is that you can disrupt it
Correct.
by clearing the field spell.
Yes. So it's not broken. Again, it's not overly broken, but it still has the potential to be really good. Where like, oh, you don't have a way to clear my field spell and then clear my monster? Well, I guess you lose. But if you do have a way to clear my field spell and then have a way to stop my monster, okay, then we're still playing. Right?
Yeah.
So
It's definitely interesting for sure.
hope.
Yeah, that definitely hope. Next, we have an interesting card, Living Fossil. Activate this card by targeting one level 4 monster, level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard. Special summon it, equip it with this, but banish it when it leaves the field. When this card leaves the field, banish the equipped monster. The equipped monster loses 1,000 attack and defense. Also, its effects are negated, and you can only activate one per turn. Yeah, is this hope for something tribute fodder, or maybe you want a creature swap what you bring back with Living Fossil?
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Like the creature swap deck we talked about earlier, where you're focusing on either taking your opponent's boss monster or your own kaiju, which you gave them. Like that's where you play Living Fossil. That or a monster that tributes itself for cost, right? Because the effect is negated, but you can still activate the effect and pay the cost, as we know.
Yeah.
Playing skill drain and automatic simulators, I do know at least. So it works with Mixeroid, because Mixeroid can tribute itself for cost.
Yeah.
It works with Exiled Force, because Exiled Force, again, tributes itself for cost. So there's like some uses for it. Recruiters, right?
Which is something you might want in a creature swap deck.
Right. Yeah. So, there's
Well,
some...
the thing,
Yeah.
I guess the recruiters can be, I guess, a bit iffy because doesn't this thing banish the monster when it's gone, right? So like it would only work with cards that specifically
You're right.
reference it being destroyed and not necessarily having to hit the grave.
Yeah. So like Zombina would work, but not
But then it would get
Giant Rat.
banished. Yeah. So I'm going to call it cope for midterms format.
But it has a lot of future potential for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
a reborn card that I think it's a good combo extender for when we get more combo decks. But not right now.
Yeah, I feel like it's mostly cope right now as well. The mixed roid is a good point though.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually a great point. I think that's the main point we should focus on, especially when you mentioned like combo decks in the future. I'm sure in the future we'll have cards that can, pop themselves or sack themselves and go into something else. And that's going to be huge for Living Fossil when you're trying to get like starters or extenders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next we have Cursed Seal of the Forbidden Spell.
Not my Cyber Angels.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this is side deck hope, but that's it. Like, if a if a deck that relies on a spell card, right? Cyber Angels. Oja match, right? Becomes a big meta threat that you're like, oh, I need to take care of this deck now. Then yeah, you can side in Curse Seal and you shut down their deck. They activate Oja match in their standby phase. You activate Curse Seal, especially because you lost game 1, right? You know you're going first. You set that Curse Seal face down. You're like, go ahead, lose the game. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a huge sideboard card.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it can hit a legendary ocean.
Yeah.
It can hit polymerization.
That's so brutal, but yes, it can.
No, it can really shut down decks.
Yes.
So it's like an evil hope.
It is.
Yeah.
My poor rituals.
It's almost as disgusting as Lost Wind it is going to be later in the future, where it's just like, it's like, oh, you have a deck that special summons monsters? Well, too bad.
Oh, you made a synchro?
Yeah, right.
All right, next we have Drillroid.
Woohoo! I was waiting for this moment. I am very happy that this card helps out a JDG original deck, which is Banisher down. I would like to brag that as of this recording, Winnabox Swiss is basically over. And 2 of our members of Team JDG, Justice, who is not here today, and Blaze, who you may see on a future podcast, went a combined 10-2 in matches. So they both went 5-1. And I want to point out that Justice's match loss was only because the match couldn't be scheduled and they had to coin flip. So he lost the coin flip. So if you don't count the coin flip match, the deck went 9-1 in a Winnabox Swiss tournament. And that is without Drillroid. And I'll let Cursive talk about how Drillroid makes the deck better because it addresses an issue.
So, YCS Niagara. Your boy brings Banisher Beatdown. I'm here. I'm ready. I'm like, everyone's on Crystal Beast. I'm going to win. And then I ran into Dragoon. And they put it in defense position. And literally the only out I had ever would be book plus knock. And without that, I never had an answer to this card. But you know what Drillroid does? It answers the card. Defense position, don't care. It's gone. I'm just going to blow it up, right? And if your opponent's playing an actual Dragoon deck, who cares? But the thing is, big defense position monsters can be a really big issue for the deck because it can't get super big, super fast.
Right.
And prior to what we had options like Offerings to the Doomed, garbage. Drillroid, it's a solid normal summon. You get to buff it. If they spin it to defense, it actually has a decent defense stat as well. And it gets rid of those pesky defense position monsters.
Right. One of the issues, because the deck does run Book of Moon, because with Drillroid, with Banisher and our beatdown monsters, we don't need Breaker. We don't need DD. So we run Book of Moon. And one of the issues with Banisher getting floodgated or walled or something is you can't use Book to counter that because it has 0 defense. I was frustrated at this, like when watching a match with the just display a match with the deck, or watching one of his replays, and it was like you can't like who thought this was a good idea to give this card 0 defense? Because yes, you countered the floodgate, but now it dies to literally anything. So Drillroid being able to not do that is amazing, right? Because 1600 is a very key stat line. Breaker without counter can't kill it anymore, right? And that is actually huge.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And like a big thing that I want to mention for Drillroid, and then we can move on if everyone's good, is a lot of people were sideboarding Ancient Gear Beast this format. And although Beast does turn off Zombina, for example, and Drillroid doesn't, that's like the only interaction that actually comes up where Beast is better. I know Beast can stop walls and stuff like that, but Drillroid doesn't care if it's hitting a defense position monster anyway. You can make it a weenie, it's still just going to blow it up, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's another anti-stall card, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, that's really one of the main reasons it's awesome is it gets through those defense monsters no matter what they are. Yeah, there are going to be a few things that Beast can handle better, but overall, I think there's more things Drillroid handles better.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost a tribute.
Doesn't cost a tribute summon.
It doesn't.
Exactly. So, yeah, like Drillroid could die to a flip effect. All right, sure.
Yeah.
But the difference here is like that Ancient Gear Beast is not getting over that Dragoon either.
Nope.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
yeah. And Chris, I don't know if you mentioned this, but that Dragoon you ran into was summoned off of Awakening the Dragon. So once you outed it with Drillroid, it would not come back. Right. And if your opponent was on Rio Dragoon, which they have Plasma Dogma, as long as you summon Banisher first, you just win. So like
exactly, right?
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
There's that, and then you at least have an opportunity to push in for more damage, which could kill them.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you could just kill them by damaging them before they do anything. So, yeah.
All right. Drillroid, great card. Hope.
Yeah, Drillroid is amazing. A lot of hope.
Very sweet, Roid. Let's go to Submarine Roid.
This is hope because of a deck that you really like, Jake. That's the No More Mrs. Nice My deck. Because it gets in for the direct damage and then it puts itself to 1800 defense, which increases its survivability. You play it with Gear Town because it has 1800 defense. It's like not terrible tribute fodder because it can survive, right? Reasonably survive until the next turn. So if you don't draw Gear Town, you can still tribute it off for the Beast. So, it's got some potential in that deck. And obviously, you can search Submarine Roid now that we have Mixer Roid. So that's good.
Yeah.
Cute card.
I feel like that's the only deck that would use it other than Roids. Could use it as well.
Yeah, I mean, Roids would only use it like because they need it as a fusion material, I guess.
That's what I was gonna say. It's like it's another Roid, it's another name, right?
Right. But that's But yeah, that's about it. Because it only does 800 regardless of how much you try to boost its attack. So
I feel like it's borderline cope. This card here. Like it is cool with the No More Mrs. Nice My skill, but I can't really think of anything else.
We'll have to see if that My deck works because I feel like you're getting rid of a back row either way, right? Where if I attack with Submarine Roid, you're either using a back row to stop that attack, or you're just losing your back row to taking 800 damage, right?
Right.
And that's the benefit.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remember that this is completely theory. This is an untested brand new format, and these are just our opinions. If you play this deck and it does garbage, that's not our problem.
That is
not liable.
It's correct. Yes. So it's kind of in the middle of cope and hope. So we'll see.
It might be cope, but I have hope.
Yes.
Next we have Truckroid. It's a 1000, 2000 level 4 machine that says when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, equip the destroyed monster to this card, It gains attack equal to the combined attack of those monsters. Okay.
So
I think it looks adorable. Like I love this art, honestly.
yes, it's a truck. It's one truck boy. Um, it it's got potential only with the field spell active. The field skill. The field skill. That is what it is. It's a field skill. Only with that online can it become 2,000 attack, and it can actually run over something. But that's it. So you play it in the Roid deck specifically. Other than that, no. And it's probably a one of in the Roid deck too, let's be honest.
Yeah, one or two.
Yeah.
I mean, like the great thing about the Roid deck is that Mixer just turbos you into whatever you want, right?
Right.
Right. So you don't have to run many things over. Like if they have to be pretty damn good to run more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
the
I
only
think running
sorry,
like multiple Drillroid, I think I would run, but the rest probably a lot of one-ofs.
Yeah. And we can talk about the ban list logos now. That happened yesterday as of this recording. It was actually won by a 30-card Roid pile.
Yep.
30 cards.
No.
Which did that, right? It ran a bunch of one-ofs. Mixeroid was your 3 of. And then it had, a drill, a submarine, a stealth for some reason, and a steam. Steam. Yes, one steam and one truck. I think it might have been some other stuff, but essentially a bunch of one-ofs with the Mixeroid. So yeah, I would say choose your one-ofs more wisely than the pile did, but yeah, nevertheless, that's the concept of the field spell Roid deck.
Yeah, so I think the conclusion for this one is hope in Roids. Anything else, that's super copy. This card's not good.
Nope.
Yeah.
Last Roid, Mixeroid.
Crazy
hope. Yes.
Very
Such
high
a cool
hope.
card.
Searches any Roid.
Except itself.
Yeah.
Or Drillroid.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes. Non-win
Because
Roid.
getting Drillroid would be too good.
You're right. Sorry. So all those one-ofs we listed off, you can just grab whichever one you need from your deck, right? And even if you're only playing like the Submarine Roid deck, which we talked about, right? It gets you there. And then it's a late game finisher. And I wish Justice was here for this, but it can summon Necroid Shaman.
It can, yes.
Level 6 Roid diffusion monster.
The best level 6 Roid, in fact.
Yeah, I mean, it destroys the monster your opponent controls, and it gives them whatever you want from their graveyard, which we saw punish Volcanics very hard yesterday because it replaced their Nova Master with a tiny little shell. And then it attacked that shell to win the game.
In attack mode.
Yes, in attack mode.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty insane to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, great card.
I think there's not much more to say about it other than it's the best Roid. I think you're mainly only going to play it in Roids, but other machine decks that want Drillroid can play some number of this card to get to Drillroid and then have that late game play of banish machines, special summon a Roid fusion. So it's a card that makes Drillroid even better in certain, machine decks.
Yeah. It's
that's cool.
Best Roid and best Poly we have.
Yes. It's graveyard fusion, guys. Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Next is Shield Crush.
I think it's cool.
It's Fisher at home.
Yeah.
Konami, can we have Fisher? We have Fisher at home. Fisher at home is Shield Crush. I think it's a good side deck card for if your opponent's playing a very slow game and they're setting monsters and they're summoning big walls in defense mode. They're playing the sevens deck like cowards and not putting their monsters in attack mode, right? So it's good for situations like that, but otherwise it's Like I said, it's Fisher at home, so I don't know. It's hope-ish.
I personally would have been very excited about this card if we didn't get Drillroid. I think Drillroid is the better of those two overall.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's potentially decks that aren't going to be. I don't want to summon Drillroid because of my game plan just is full of normal summons or something. So maybe they'll play Shield Crush.
Maybe you need to OTK.
Yeah, exactly. I need my normal summon for my combo, and Shield Crush will let me clear their monster anyway. Yeah, so it's hope technically sideboard for some decks.
I want to preface all of this by saying that all our discussion is based on the limited list being applied. We are not discussing moth format.
Never
If you're
will.
not using the list, are you really playing speed duels anymore?
Yeah, just enjoy your moth duels. You can play Shield Crush in your moth deck. Good job.
There you go. Next we have Emergeroid Call. This is a counter trap that says when a spell or trap or monster effect is activated while you control a Roid fusion monster, negate that activation, then send all cards with the same name as that card from the activating player's deck and extra deck to the graveyard. So that's the main effect of this card. Then it has a graveyard effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target a Roid monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. And that effect is once per turn.
This card is epic.
Yeah, this card is insane. It's our first Omni Negate and Speed Duel since Vigilance. And it negates monster effects, not summons like Vigilance does. So one of the issues with Vigilance is if you set it up too late, and your opponent already has their monster on the field, you can no longer stop it from activating its effect. This can. So that's really cool. But you don't stop summons, but I mean, if they have a monster that doesn't have a good effect that you want to negate, then most of the time it's okay to let them summon that, right? So if you can find a way to turbo out any specific Roid fusion monster, I won't say which one just yet, and set this card behind it, that is potentially a very, very good setup.
Mm-hmm. Great card.
Yep. And it gives you guaranteed follow-up, like we talked about with the graveyard effect, so that's awesome.
Yeah, this is another one where I want to say hope, but it could end up being cope just because of how difficult it is to set up a fusion for specifically a Roid fusion. Yeah, no, the effect's amazing. Like the card's great, but again, how realistic is it going to be to set up a Roid fusion is what we're going to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So it might end up being cope. I want to say hope.
We'll hope. We'll hope for now. Subject to change.
We'll talk later.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a quick one. Gate Guardian.
Amazing. Busted. Too broken. Needs to be banned.
Yeah, just look at that effect. The effect is that it can't be normal summoned or set or special summoned except with this very specific condition. Oh, well, never mind. Yeah, Gate Guardian is cope. The skills they have for it are also cope. We don't have to even go through them. We'll go through the only good Paradox skill.
You went through them in the spoilers reaction.
Yeah.
This is my spoilers reaction.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. No, it's
super cope.
Is really bad cope. They didn't even try to make Gate Guardian good.
At least they made the pieces good.
Yeah.
Next one is like sort of 2.5 cards.
Labyrinth Wall.
It is not Labyrinth Wall. Green Clown, Crass Clown, and then sort of Ryu Kishin Clown. We'll kind of bundle that into one. Is that hope or cope?
That's cope, but I'm still gonna try it because it's clowns. So that's about all I have to say for that.
It's hope that Konami is listening.
Yes.
To Lucas.
Yes.
Oh no. Yeah, no. This feels super cope. There are some interesting traps to use with it. The Labyrinth of Nightmare, is it called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is called Labyrinth of Nightmare. And Zero Gravity. Yeah, they're cool with this, but we kind of always had these cards the whole time, and they weren't good in Swarm of Scarabs, Swarm of Locusts.
Yeah,
Not good. I don't think these will be good either.
likely
Um,
not. Just
yeah.
because you have to draw specific combos of the cards. That's the problem.
Yeah.
There aren't too many other cards. Double summon.
I think it's cope because I think it requires a 3 card combo normally, and that's normally pretty bad. So
It
that's
depends, I guess, like what we have in the future, right? Because like you might end up like with like a deck that maybe it needs 2 monsters on board, but like what 2 monsters is very vague. Do you know what I mean? I think like what like Dragon Link. I know I'm talking advanced now. I think Dragon Link in advanced had like 100 different starters, right? So maybe we'll come into like a similar situation, but it needs 2 monsters. I don't know. It's basically cope.
yeah,
I I think it's cope. I can't really think of much that wants to be like, oh man, I summoned 2 level 4s. That's wild.
Maybe
Or
a skill.
I summoned a level 4 and then I tributed it for something.
yeah,
GG's. Like, no, I don't.
yeah. Using three
I don't see a
cards to
card
summon. Yeah, using 3 cards to summon
to
one.
get 2,
One.
or 3 to get 1 in the case of a tribute monster. Yeah,
Yeah, that's no, that's pure cope.
yeah. I'm pretty sure it's like a very bad version of something like a Hero Lives,
Yeah,
where it's a special from deck. No, this is from hand, and it's
yeah. It's horrible. We can we
So
can stop.
we've talked about some of the skills already, but there's a few more. Um,
Wait, yeah, we got to go into the extra cards of the set,
oh
the
no, there's no,
non-deck specifics.
That's right. There are a few. There's a few of those.
Yeah,
That
there's a few
might
decent
that
ones.
might be worth talking about. Yeah.
which ones? Go ahead and start that off.
Loud Cloud,
Yeah. How did you forget Loud Cloud?
fool.
This is I already said this, but this is arguably my favorite card of the set. Next to he would it's fighting with the Hero Lives for that spot. It's because it's like amazing. It's chaos, right? Ish, right? It's the concept of chaos, just with different attributes. Um, and I'm going to try to make this work. I might succeed, I might fail. You'll find out. If I start making Loud Cloud deck profiles, I might have succeeded. If you
Oh man,
never
I
hear
hope I
from
get to see
me,
that.
what?
I hope I get to see that.
Yeah. If you never hear from me again, then I have failed. So we'll see. Any comments on
Yeah,
Loud Cloud?
I think he's sick. I mean, like he is actually the closest thing we have to a chaos monster, right? Because
Yeah.
it's actually banished one of this and one of that. Not like Desert Twister and what's the other one we got in this set? Frost and
Flame.
Boston
yeah,
Flame.
where like you have a 2 and 1, which means you have to have 2 of something set up. No, this is actually just a fire and a wind. Summon an actual useful card.
Yeah.
Chaos Sork.
Yep. Yeah. It's gonna be great. The clouds. Oh,
I
it also looks beautiful. The art.
oh yeah, art's great.
Fire art.
Yeah.
So my opinion about it right now is I actually think it's cope because there are no good wins. Um,
I understand.
but if you get
Cool.
good wins, this card just becomes probably the best boss in speed duels currently.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, if you get any like good generic winds and fires that we're playing in like a lot of decks or something, this can just be your splashable Chaos Sork. How Chaos Sork was played in like every single deck back in the day, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, give us good
So-
Harpy support. How about that?
Yeah.
There you go.
So for me, it's cope and hope because I don't know if it's going to do anything this format
Mm,
until we get new cards, but it's bound to do something eventually. Because
Yeah.
even if you look at just the fire half, we've got volcanics. Worst case scenario, you just play volcanics and you have Doggeran, you have Blaze Man.
Mhm.
You got that half right.
right.
But the wind half is like you got to stretch to see a good playable card there. Like we talk about Kazijin,
No, man, I
Sapphire
got you.
Pegasus.
I got it all figured out. Just
Okay.
play Believe in Your Bro. You got Blaze Man and you got Mixeroid. There you go. You're ready.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if we can come up with something for that. But it seems really bad. because that skill is I don't know if we want to go into every skill, but that one doesn't seem great.
I mean, we can probably say hope or cope for every skill, but not necessarily
Yeah,
talk
not
about them,
necessarily
right?
talk about them in depth.
Right.
All right. Is there anything else
Um,
from the extra cards?
Just a couple. Actually, just one because I want to talk about the rest with the skills.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Death's Wombat.
I will say it is hope for the future if the Speed Duel team messes up again and gives us strong burn cards. Right? If they are, losing their mind and giving us wave motion cannon, then you
Matt
have to
walks
have...
back in.
Yeah, yeah, Matt walks back in. He's like, "Hey guys, I re-signed the deal with Konami."
Slams down his list of burn.
Yep. He's like, "Here's wave motion cannon. Here's all the pieces for chain burn. Here's
Solemn Judgment, level limit area B. Have
Yes.
fun.
yeah,
Skill drain.
yeah.
A skill that gives you 5 back row slots.
Yes, the red eyes burn card.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So it's a good safeguard. That's how I'll put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's comforting to know we have it in the pool.
Yeah.
What's interesting about it is that it's not necessarily amazing against what we're calling a burn deck, because what we're calling a burn decks have like 1 Zoma and 2 wheels. That's it. This counters 3 cards.
Doesn't even counter Zoma. Zoma just runs it over.
Right.
It can counter a Zoma, is what I mean.
Right.
But like all those cards already lose to dust, so we had the solution the whole time. Is that what Konami's telling us? But like
It's
it
a
doesn't
safety net.
stop. It doesn't stop Wall of Disruption, which acts like a burn card when you're playing against them, right? It doesn't. It doesn't stop any of the stall. So like, yeah, I'm happy to have this card. I don't think you play it.
No, I there's nowhere you put it right now at all.
Yeah.
If Death Wombat was a skill, I could see the argument for it, but I don't.
You still don't put it anywhere right now.
Yeah, but just it's not right now. Maybe if you're still playing non-banlist format, if you're insane and you want to counter burn, but yeah.
Is there any fusion monsters that we want to talk about?
They're all cope.
I mean, we can talk about UFO.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when we were talking about Roid call a little while back, this is the monster that you're most likely to set it up with.
Right. Because it's the most generic.
Because you basically have 6 copies of UFO Roid between itself and then Mixer.
Yeah.
And then you have like 7 copies of Blazeman because you have a Hero Lives itself and then Rhoda. So you can get into it very easily.
Yeah.
And if you ever open up that plus a Roid call, you put yourself in like a very commanding situation. It really just comes down to, are you seeing the trap card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. That's really what it does come down to. And that's why you need the field spell. So there is something to be had here between Mixeroid, UFO Roid, Blazeman, pieces to summon Blazeman dispels, field spell plus counter trap. Like there is potentially something to be done here. I think every other Roid fusion is cope to focus on, but obviously any one of those could be used as your Mixeroid target too. So
yeah, so I think Fighter is like the only fusion to talk about besides Nova Master, which we kind of spoke about at the beginning.
Yeah.
So
And we talked about Necroid Shaman as well. Necroid Shaman, Hope, Nova Master, Hope, UFO Roid Fighter, potential Hope there. Basically everything else is cope.
Yeah, and UFO Roid Fighter is because we have a good trap card, right? It's not because of the monster.
No, it's not.
Right.
All the cope people are talking about with like, oh, you use Gate Guardian with it. Well, I don't know how you plan on drawing Gate Guardian and polymerization, but good luck with that.
Best of luck with that. Have fun.
Yeah, have fun with that.
All right, so I don't remember what we were talking about.
It's skill time.
Yeah, it's skill time. It's skill. Let's just go to skills. I don't.
Okay, yeah. We were talking about Stealth Union is a waking target, but anyway, skills. So are these skills Hope or Cope? Heroes Unite Fusion. 2 exclamation points.
Whoa, intense. Even more than Fusion Party. That's why they had to add the extra one, right? Because Fusion Party is a thing of the past. Matt era card.
Yeah. They have once again disrespected Jaden by giving him a terrible, terrible skill, which forces you to run terrible cards and then still has a discard cost. And still makes you summon 2 of those terrible monsters.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think that's definitely a really big thing, is that you have to control 2 to even use the card.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it's like right now, especially, we're summoning nothing.
Yeah. I don't understand why they couldn't have given us at least like Cyberblader Fusion version for E-Heroes. Like, why does this have to be worse? Why are you anti-power creeping your own skills that you made literally 1 box ago? That's
So it also has Fusion Party built into it, but only for heroes.
right.
Like you can
Yeah.
activate it as just a Fusion Party.
But we
But
don't
no
have
bonus.
yeah, like we don't have good hero fusions. We
Exactly.
don't
The
have
bonus-
absolute we don't have absolute zero. I wish we did. We don't.
The bonus is bad on this card is the problem.
Right.
Like, yeah. I don't know if there's any decent generic 3+ material hero fusions. I don't have like a memory bank of hero fusions, but no, there's none that I can think of.
Not really.
I can't think of one either, so probably not.
Yep. Heroes Unite, Super Cope. Next Jaden skill is Hero World.
Okay. This can be kind of sick.
Nah, sorry. It has a discard cost. Once I realized it has a
Okay.
Once I realized it has a discard cost, it's cope. Because you have to have either you have to run bad cards, normal heroes, to use most of the skill, right? Or you have to focus your deck on summoning the bad fusions. The only thing that's not bad is Nova Master. And you're telling me I have to discard a card for Nova Master to have an additional effect?
Fool, you pitched your shell.
Yeah, but like Drake knows that Twisted Personality is just much better.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so here's my thing. Here's my reasoning for this. For one, in the future, we can get better fusions, right? And I'm sure we'll be able to access fusions more readily, which does turn on some of these effects, right? Especially the water one. The water one is like the primary one. The other thing is, in the future, we're going to be special summoning a lot more often, in which case having access to the ability to just bounce everything back is very, very strong, especially if you're in an extra deck heavy format, your opponent has multiple extra deck monsters on board, and you just put them all back.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it being halfway decent in the future, but the discard cost still hurts you so much because you have to fusion summon and then still have discard fodder. Like that's... I think you need Miracle Fusion to make this work.
I mean, I know what you mean, but I also I want to bring up just once again the Blaze Man plus Shell, where you go neutral throughout the entire combo, and then if you trigger this, you still go neutral because you just search another shell, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I do get where you're coming from. The discard cost is ridiculous that it's just always a thing nowadays on skills.
Yeah.
But in the future, I think this skill does have a home.
Maybe.
Yeah, I could see it.
But it's cope. It's cope right now. At least
right now, it does
hope
nothing.
later.
for the next 5 months, it's cope.
Yeah. All right, then we have Believe in Your Bro.
They combined Harpies and Amazonas. Now they're combining Heroes and Roids. Let's go.
Yeah, clearly this skill is meant to work with UFO Roid Fighter, but it's cope because UFO Roid Fighter is not good without the trap card, the counter trap behind it, and this doesn't help you search the counter trap. It doesn't help you search UFO Roid, or it does, but it's very situational with the discard cost. So again, no, it's cope.
I mean, the fact that you're pitching spells and traps is like, why?
Right. I don't understand why we just can't have these skills without the discard cost and actually make them playable. But obviously we're not allowed to have nice things. They want us to continue to use Matt era skills until they just errata all of them. So
like they couldn't have made this like synergy, right? Where like you're just like, hey, look, I have a hero. Let me grab a Roid.
Right.
Yeah.
right?
It would have been great, but
Would have been.
they're like, no,
Yeah.
you have to
Control
lose
a-
resources.
I control a hero, I grab a Roid. I control a Roid, I grab a hero. I control both, I get a poly.
Right.
Yeah.
They're all once per duel. Cool. We just made this skill way better. That's not what it does.
And
No,
They all
it does
have-
not read like that at
no,
all.
And that's not even broken. That's balanced. Like
Yeah.
you have to control specifically heroes and roids for it to actually work. But
Yep.
they just no words.
Next one is the Roids are all right.
So this one,
Necroroid Shaman, come forth.
people were coping about this one because they're like, oh, it makes your UFO roid 1800 and your rescue roid 2200, and it was like, oh no, 2200, that's impossible. Nobody's ever been able to summon a monster that strong. Yeah, whatever, it's bad.
Yeah, it's not enough, I don't think, but it does let you fuse into Necroid Shaman with a Vehicroid connection zone, so that's
Hell,
just
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Surely we will all be running Wild Heart and whatever the other piece is for that one.
Yeah, cope.
Yeah,
Necro
Small
Shaman, I got you.
Roid, big city.
thank you. This is the hope.
Yeah.
Oh,
This-
Go ahead, Terramaster.
This might be the best skill in the box, or second best, right? It's one of the top 2 skills in the box, I think, for sure. Because it's you can play Roid Toolbox, like we talked about already, right? Only because of this skill can you play Roid Toolbox, where you run some one-ofs, but you're focusing on searching Mixeroid and you're turning any of your high defense Roids, whether that's Mixer or Submarine or Truck, into actual beaters while continuing to set up the graveyard for the big pop-off at the end. So potentially very, very good. Also searches your counter trap.
Okay. Yeah.
Counter Trap. Counter Trap, good.
Counter trap.
Yeah, I mean,
No, I think so, seeing this skill in action, it's really good. It sets up your grave, it sets up your field. Making Mixeroid big or Truckroid big, sweet. Yeah, this is hope.
Yep.
Next we have Power Bond. Proving that we'll never get a real Power Bond because this card's name is
Power
Power
Bond.
Yeah, that's cope, because if you could summon Cyber End Dragon off of this skill, you could win the game. But you want to explain to me how you're going to draw 3 Cyber Dragons? I don't know. So if you figure it out, let me know. But until then, it's cope.
Fool. I Power Bond into UFO Roid Fighter.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be somebody who tries to cope with that, but like, yeah, good luck making that any kind of consistent at all, because you don't
Cool.
pierce.
I can't wait for it to gain attack equal to its original attack.
Yes. Ah, yes. Of course. The UFO Roid Fighter that does nothing. At least you don't take any damage. Ah, checkmate.
Checkmate.
Got him. All right.
All right. Next we have Behold, Gate Guardian.
Broken.
Yeah. I don't even remember what this does, so it's
They
cool.
blend together. These 2 skills blend together for me. If you
You
control
control-
a piece, you can flip this card up, activate this skill during your main phase, shuffle your entire hand into the deck, add 1 level 11 monster from deck to hand, and if you do, you can special summon up to 2 level 7 with different attributes from your deck and or graveyard, but their attack and defense becomes 0. Also, their effects are negated. While you control Gate Guardian, it gains the following effect. It becomes a Gate Guardian piece.
Yeah, who is really terrified of someone attacking into their Gate Guardian?
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Attack me with Obelisk? Like, I don't understand it. Who's
Like-
attacking the Gate Guardian?
I'm so glad they gave Gate Guardian this effect.
So, the real problem I see with this deck is it grabs 2 of the 7s. How do you get the Gate Guardian out that's in your hand now?
Well, you have to control the one initially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
you-
okay.
So you
You
have to
said
normal
one out.
summon a level
Right.
7. Then you have to get rid of every other card and then set yourself up for Gate Guardian. That's still basically a vanilla.
Yeah.
Right, because they're not going to attack into it.
Yeah, so again, probably at least two card combo to get your first Gate Guardian piece, right?
So this card does nothing until we get a different level 11 monster.
What level is Yubel? Asking for a friend.
I don't know, but there's barely any in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!
I think it's level 10,
index.
the original.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, if you want to feel like it, look through that level 11 database on Dueling Book, filter by level 11, and see what kind of hope there is, but it is hope for
Start
me.
asking Konami for that level 11.
Yeah.
There is less
Next
than a
up-
page on Dueling Book of level 11 effect monsters. All right,
Yeah,
continue.
exactly.
Yeah.
Beware the Brothers Paradox. This is the deck I've been calling sevens. It lets you get an additional normal summon each turn if it is for a level 7 monster, and level 7 monsters only take 1 tribute. Has some other restrictions and buffs, but those are the important parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can only attack with one monster, but it can attack twice, which
Yep.
so
On
like
monsters.
This deck,
that's fine.
this deck this skill has a lot of potential. Because of the level 7 toolbox deck, you can kind of play with it. Drake's been experimenting a little bit, so I'll let you talk about some of the options.
Yeah, I mean, what's nice is you don't have to only summon Gate Guardian pieces, which they could have written on it, but they decided not to. You can also summon Barrel Dragon, Toon Barrel Dragon if you want to hit back rows. You can summon a vanilla like Dark Magician or Red Eyes and have their support cards plus Vigilance. There are some other weird 7 techs. There's Angel 07
Yes.
that just negates monster effects anywhere
Yes.
while it's on the field. So
And
they
Book of
have
Moon
to-
is way less prevalent.
Yeah,
Yes.
they have to like play something bigger than it, or something like offerings, or I'm not really sure how. If you resolve the Angel 07, because you're probably not going to attack with the Angel 07.
Yes.
You're just going to say, I'm going to get.
Yeah. And I will say it's a deck like this that gives you potential to play multiple Floodgate tribute monsters, right? Like, I could see Angel 7 and Jinzo being on the field at the same time. If this deck has enough time, right? If you give it 3 turns where you're not putting pressure on them somehow, they can set up Jinzo and Angel 07. And that is kind of terrifying. Because then it's like, oh, you can only play spell cards now? I'm not sure how you out that board with only spells. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
pretty
There's
sick
hope.
Definitely hope. Definitely
Yeah,
hope.
there's definitely
By our definition of what hope is, impactful to the meta and possibly tiered, that's hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a third Paradox Brothers skill. Elements of thunder, water, and wind.
I think it's another bad one. Because I don't remember what it does.
So you can, if you have 1,000 or less life points, you can normal summon a piece.
Yes.
And if you already have a piece, then you can special Gate Guardian.
Yeah.
But you have to basically be dead, and you're still just summoning a vanilla or normal summoning a level 7 piece. So.
And again, I think with a lot of these skills that we're calling cope, it has the same problem. You are forced to play bad cards, which are Gate Guardian and the pieces, who are bad without specifically the 7 skill.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're going to force me to play bad cards, at least give me a good, like actually good, consistent skill to go with them. And they haven't done that here.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. This skill kind of just does nothing. Because it says if your life points are 1,000 or less, you can normal summon a piece without tributing. Cool. That puts your 3rd piece online, or your 1st piece, whatever.
First.
But then it says if you control all 3 pieces, send as many cards.
3?
Yeah. Send as many cards as possible on the field to the graveyard, so both players, and special summon a Gate Guardian from deck. So If you have 2 pieces out on board when you resolve this skill, you probably win. But how are you at 1,000 or less and have 2 pieces and the third named piece in hand?
Yeah, and then draw the Gate Guardian, right? Or
Well,
no,
see, you know, you just have to have all 3 pieces because it's or. You can only use one of the 2 effects.
Oh, is it?
So you have to, yeah. You can either normal summon without attributing, or if you control all pieces, you can special Gate Guardian by sending
that
everything.
is the worst skill I have ever seen.
Or-
And I've seen.
Never mind.
Yeah, this,
I thought it was bad. I thought it was like a D minus. It is like a F minus.
You have to have 3 level 7s on the board in speed duels.
Good luck.
I'd like to congratulate Jaden. You no longer have the worst skill in speed duels. Good job, dude. All right.
So, chemistry in motion.
Yeah, chemistry motion. We talked about this one. This is the counters one for Water Dragon, and we said Cope already.
Yeah, you play bad
It's
cards.
cool.
All right.
Yep.
Then there is Under Pressure. This is the
yeah. I said we kinda talked about
Hayozanryu
this one.
skill.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this one already too.
Yeah, this one's cool. It's kind of like they made another Nightmare Sonic Blast, but they kind of balanced it, so hopefully they don't have to errata it. They balanced it right away. Pretty cool. I think this card's great with Carbogeddon.
Yeah. No,
I mean, I don't want to call the skill great, but I do want to say it is hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. It is hopeful. It is worth testing. It is worth at least trying. So I think that's kind of all you want to fit the definition of hope.
But now
Yeah.
we get into the moment we've all been waiting for. The final skill
final
card
skill.
in the box.
Chilling out back in the schoolyard,
Hell yeah.
Yes.
finding trouble, never looking too hard. And this is the Koala Kangaroo skill.
Yeah. We've already seen this deck perform in the first Banlist tournament yesterday, right? You got second place. So that's impressive considering the deck was very unrefined. Even Siren Rises, who played the deck, talked to me afterwards about ways to already improve upon the build. That got second place. So yeah, this deck has a ton of potential. Attacking with monsters that are in defense mode plays around the common battle traps in the format. That's by itself is really good. Spike Shield with Chain is really good, and I don't know what else there is to add to it. So
Yeah, it's cool that they don't care about widespread. And we do also have Death's Koala now.
right.
Yes.
Kangaroo is an okay card, but obviously it's good with this, and it's good with Spike Shield.
Right.
Sea Otter, Sea Koala is
Yep.
an okay card, but it's really cool with this. So you get to play a bunch of like monsters that aren't bad, which is kind of like something you have to do with a lot of skills is play bad monsters. And this is saying no, these monsters are all fine. These just make them much better.
Right.
So that's cool. And yeah, I'm not gonna say Spike Shield's good. I'm gonna say that's one hell of that card is crazy. You can play around it by not attacking them, but I don't really know how else to play around that card.
It's like how you play around Floodgate by not summoning monsters, right?
Yeah, there you go. Don't play the game, idiot.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, it's again. I think the koala cards individually and the kangaroo are bad, right? But they're good if they can be in defense mode all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And they just become like 1,800 and like 1,600 bodies, right?
right. It's like I said, if you're gonna force me to play individually bad cards, at least make the skill combo with them to make them good cards. And I think the skill does that. So
that was our final skill, and that is definitely hope.
yeah.
Yeah.
So final thoughts as we wrap up here.
Yeah, what do you think about the box? The overall.
I'm actually really impressed. I had low expectations for the box. So the fact that I really do feel like there's like a decent amount of stuff to talk about, and even if it doesn't have like immediate implications, a lot of it has like a lot of future potential, right?
Right.
Out of the last box, we literally just got like staples, an OTK deck, and then Crystal Beast, which is only like now good. At least this gives us some other stuff to play with, right?
Yeah.
Immediately.
I think similar to the last box, this has very little to no impact without a list,
Yes.
of limited list being in place. But with the list, there is some stuff here to experiment with, to test, to build with. And I think that's all you can ask for, especially with a smaller product like this of only 100 cards. I do believe if they continue this power level of card, or this level of power creep, I should say, right? Because it has to be slightly better. And then in future products, that we might actually consistently get new and fresh feeling formats.
Yeah, I mean, like I can honestly say I feel like Speed Duels is finally starting to become enjoyable again after like a very long portion where like I kind of started to ask myself, why am I playing the game? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's a combination of nostalgia, right? And decks that even if you played TCG a long time ago, you were never able to play these decks competitively, right? Like Crystal Beast, you were never able to play Crystal Beast competitively.
No.
In advanced. So like it's good to see stuff like that.
And there's one other thing I want to mention too, and then but the skill cards, they're not all perfect, but coming out of GX box, we got generic skills, and those were the only ones that were good. Anything in archetype was absolutely useless.
With the exception of Cyberdark style. I will say that.
Yeah. Style. But this time, we actually have skills that are genuinely usable within their archetype.
Yeah. Which is mostly just Roid field.
I mean, we have Roid. We have
Roid,
the kangaroo that we were just talking about, kangaroo and koala.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And then we have like pseudo Nightmare Sonic Blast.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. That's 3. And Gate Guardian is sort of not generic.
Yeah, it's a little bit less generic, but like I feel like it still does what it aims to do. It's not like you're playing like Room for Growth, which is just, you're attacking directly. You're not playing looking into the future. Like they go into a deck, not just throwing them everywhere, right?
You have to build your deck around the skill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I like to see.
Right. Not build a deck and then say, which skill am I using? Oh, look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me the most generic skill. Come on. But,
yep.
Yeah.
I also had low expectations for this set, and I was pleasantly surprised that we got a few cool cards for each deck type. And like you said, the skills for deck specifics, some of them are actually playable. That was one of the most disappointing parts about the GX box, because we got some cool archetypes. We got Volcanics, we got Crystal Beasts, we got Cyberdarks, we got Cyber Angels. That's like 4 of the decks right there. That's cool.
Yeah.
And all of their skills were terrible.
One of them plays their skill. That's it.
Yep.
Now.
The
cyber style, yeah. But yeah, now we are getting like we literally got less skills in this, and we got a bigger number of skills that are played in the archetype. That's cool. So I think they're slowly learning. I'm going to assume that 6 months ahead of time, they're partially to mostly done making the next set already. But I don't think anything's locked in. So I think they had time to look at how GX Box performed, even though they had an idea of like, I think these are the 100 cards. They could still look at the results and say, we need to buff a few and maybe add a few cards to address some things like, Death Wombat and whatever. So I think this is a good sign from the team, and it would have been cool to see a 200 card set from them, but we will.
We will.
I think they're learning and adapting to the format,
right?
To try and improve it, try to keep it interesting.
Yeah, this box is a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Is this box cope or hope?
This box is absolutely hope.
Definitely.
Because it shows improvement. It shows that combined with the last couple months of getting a list, getting multiple extravaganza events, getting multiple erratas now because we've had 2 total, and getting a better product than the GX box was. Everything is trending correctly, I think, for speed duels, and it's like I've been saying, as long as we get an update to the list, the ban list, between this and the next product, to keep the format fresh and not just have 5 or 6 months of the same thing, then we can be in a really good spot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good job, Konami.
Yeah, for
I give
once.
them at least 1 thumbs up.
Yeah.
They get one. They get one.
They get one.
Hopefully, they get 2 for the next set.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't. This is just a keep going the way you are. This is not anything to get your ego inflated, Speed Duel team. It's not perfect by any means. You
Right,
can
no.
still
It's-
improve.
Way too many
still,
Jaden reprints.
You know, when we're looking into the future, there's still room for growth. But
Yeah.
I just want to chill in the Outback. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Don't want to put you under pressure. But
Well done. I expect the next box to be so good. It's essentially chemistry in motion with the rest of the format. So now that I think we're done with that. Might as well sign off here. So Justice isn't here, and I stole his intro catchphrase, so I might as well steal the end catchphrase. So until next time, be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Good luck in all of your games. And I'll throw in mine too. For Cursive, for Drake, and for Terra Master, we're out.